All right, guys, I'm going to go live on YouTube.
Mr. Chairman, just a reminder, every motion has to have a roll call vote.
Roger. Thank you.
Thank you. And remember to state where you're located when we do the roll call initially.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. Do we have everybody present and we're ready to go?
Good
We
enough.
are live on YouTube, and you guys can start the meeting whenever you'd like.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Planning Commission, February 25th, 2021. And the pledge to the flag.
Unmute.
Pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the
to
flag.
the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America
And
and to the republic
for which
for which it stands,
One nation.
our
One
nation, under
under
God,
liberty and justice.
indivisible, with liberty
And justice.
and justice for all.
Play ball.
Okay, thank you. The roll call vote, and I am supposed to state my name, I believe. Did you just say?
When I call your name for roll call, just please state where you're located.
Oh, location. That's right. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Clark,
Here, the village.
Fredericks,
He's on mute.
I'm here in the village.
thank you. Height,
Here in Village of Wolverine Lake.
Lindman, not present. Moretto, not present. Nedrow,
Here, Wolverine Lake.
Snyder,
Here, Wolverine Lake.
Thorne.
Here, Wolverine Lake.
I know we've heard from Kathy that said she was not going to be able to make it tonight. I don't know if we've heard anything from Mr. Height or Mr. Lemon or not. Scott, you know, or if Brian's out of town or anything? His house is dark. I know that. I just looked across the lake. So maybe he's out of town.
I think he might be on a ski trip. At least he was, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if he'd be back by now.
Okay. Well, I guess I'd motion to at least to
Excuse?
excuse. Yeah, I guess Kathy at this point anyways, since we've heard from her, so.
Second.
Okay, motion by Nedrow. I'm sure who seconded it. Was
Paul.
that Paul
Yep.
Snyder? And all in favor?
Oh, sorry.
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry, Mr. Chairman. It has to be roll call.
Roll
I'm
call.
sorry. Roll call
Okay.
vote, please.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes,
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Okay. Motion
Does
carries.
that make a quick point of order? Some of you people have a computer, so you're seeing everybody. I only see about 4 people, so can't just wave, Paul, that worked this time because you're on my screen.
Okay.
Everybody know I can't see everybody, so you have to talk.
Okay.
yeah, actually it helps if you maybe state who's making the motion or whatever.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, well, that moves us on to approval of the agenda. I hear a motion to approve the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda. Paul Snyder.
4 seconds.
Okay, so we've got a motion by Snyder and then Brandon Thorne seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Height,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes,
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Fredericks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. That brings us to item 6, public hearing. We have no public.
nope, we got to approve the minutes from September.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Bri. Yes, I hear a motion to approve the minutes from September 24th.
Nedrow motion that.
Okay. Motion by
Second.
Nedra, second by
Second
Snyder.
by Snyder.
okey doke. Roll call vote, please.
Nedrow,
Yes,
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height,
Yes. Okay, thank you. Motion carries. There is no public. I don't have any correspondence. So that brings us to new business item 1, the 2020 annual report. And that was in the packet by Carlisle Wortman. Basically, it's a pretty new thing. I don't know if everybody remembers, but like a couple years ago, they were instructed to, give a report that puts down on paper what we've been up to and working on, recently.
Well, I motion that we forward the 2020 annual report from planning commission activities onto council.
Okay, motion by Nedra. Do I have a second?
Second, Clark.
Second by Clark. Okey doke. Roll call vote, please.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height.
Yes. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to new business item 2, the conditional rezoning request, 2355 South Commerce. And you should have your packet that had the blueprints in it and the report from the Carlisle Wortman. And I hope everybody got a chance to read it. Pretty interesting piece of property there that we've been trying to find a good use for a long time. And it looked really good to me. Not sure if we have Sally. Is Sally not here tonight? I thought. Someone
I'm
said.
here.
There.
Can
Yay,
you not see
Sally.
me?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't. There you are. Hey, all right. Woo. But yeah, nice job on going over that and coming up with the summary of the issues. I was thinking of kind of the same things, about like some people might be worried about the noise, but you can limit it down by, the business hours and stuff like that. It sure would be nice to have something useful on that piece of property,
Well, Mr. Chair, can I suggest you invite the applicant to present their idea to the board, and then I can go over my review, and then you guys can talk about it.
Agreed. That sounds great. Please proceed.
Go ahead, applicant.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yes. Go,
How are you?
go
My
right
name is
ahead.
Haider. Yes, Haider Bedruddin from Basel Construction, representing FNL Commerce. Fadi Kaji is the owner. We also have with us Ziad Al Baba. He's the engineer on the site, but I don't know what happened to him. He was in the room. I don't know if he's still in or not.
He is still in.
I'm still here.
Okay, there he is. Okay, so we are proposing a special land use rezoning for this property, which is now an office. The O1, it's a O1 office, and it's pretty straightforward. The property used to be a gas station at some point in the past, and we thought it'd be a very good location to, have a new business venture. We're keeping the building the way it is. We're proposing to add a fuel canopy, some landscaping to go with that corner. And we read that rezoning report, which, suggested the limited business hours and, taking down the number of dispensers. We're open to all suggestions, and we want to work with the township, and we want to get something going at that site.
Hi, this is Ziad Al-Baba. I may add a few items to the to what we presented already. We do understand the corner, which is a very important corner for the village, and also we are, as mentioned in the report from Carlisle, in regard to the pumps, as Haider mentioned, and to the hours. As we said, we could work to make this happen. We didn't do any addition on the building, and we enhanced the site with quite additional landscaping from trees to shrubs. And we're not just leaving it as is. We're not just the vegetation, leaving it as is. We are not encouraging on any existing vegetation, existing trees, existing shrubs, existing whatever is behind the building. We are going to enhance the site. And we are, of course, bringing in a nice dumpster enclosure. Of course, we are coming as much as possible into the zoning ordinance for, of course, Wolverine Lake. And any other suggestions? We do understand we're not rezoning, we are doing conditional, so we can maintain the same, what we are asking for only. So we don't encourage in other zoning concepts or ideas. And we are really, again, we're open for any suggestions, and we would like really to actually bring this up to code as best as possible.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments by the applicants?
Well, not at this
Not-
point.
Not at this point, no.
Okay, well, thank you. Sally, you've got the floor.
Okay, nice to see everyone this evening.
First time here.
We did a review of the proposal, and as they mentioned, they want to conditionally rezone this property from office to C1 local business district, but they're offering to restrict the permitted uses on the site to a party store with liquor sales and fueling stations. So in a typical rezoning, you would open up a parcel to everything that's permitted in that district. With a conditional rezoning, the applicant can offer conditions that restrict what can happen on the parcel. So you're not kind of exposing this property to a big laundry list of uses. Let's just say if this business goes in and then they leave, the property wouldn't be open to 15 or 20 other uses in addition to what they proposed. It would just be allowed to have the conditions that they offered. So it helps in considering a proposal because it really kind of limits all the possibilities, and as a result, all the potential effects that those uses could have. So as he mentioned, the parcel is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of South Commerce Road and Decker. It's a pie-shaped lot. It's relatively small and relatively shallow. Just to go over the conditional rezoning process, you will be evaluating the property, evaluating the proposal. And to do that, you will hold a public hearing. That's the first step, where the neighbors will be asked to come in and give their opinions about the proposal. And then you will work with the applicant on the proposal based on what the public has to say. And then if you so choose then you would make a recommendation to council. And if you so choose, the recommendation would be to approve with conditions, however that worked out in your discussion with the applicant. Or you could also recommend denial too, if you don't think it's consistent with the criteria in your zoning ordinance. So the point is, you all have the public hearing and make a recommendation to council, and council makes the final decision. If this rezoning were to go through, the applicant is going to need to return with a site plan and for a special land use approval. Now, we couldn't make this more complicated. A special land use also requires a public hearing. So we could combine the public hearing for the rezoning with the public hearing for the special land use. But you approve the special land use. You don't send that off to council. You would only send off your recommendation for the rezoning to council, you would be the ones making the final decision on the site plan and the special land use. So it's a little convoluted, but I think we could, the ordinance definitely allows us to combine public hearings for both processes. So anyway, I have evaluated the proposal. And the first thing I always look at is what is the existing land use and what's the existing zoning, not only of the subject site, but of the surrounding sites. This subject site is zoned and was previously used for office. The applicant made an interesting comment that they said it was a gas station at one point. I'd be interested to hear if the planning commission knows what the previous uses were. I know the most recent previous use was a photographic studio. But anyway, you can talk about that. Surrounding land uses are multifamily and office, and surrounding zoning is multifamily and office. Also, Walled Lake, the zoning and uses across the street in Walled Lake are office and multifamily. There is no commercial in this area at all. Now, the proposed use is a commercial use. And the local business district, which is what the district that is being proposed, the intent of that district is to be located on shallow sites which back up to residences. So this site does kind of meet that description. A convenience store, which is half of their proposal, is a permitted use. And then the fueling station part is a special land use. Now, we did have some comments regarding this use in association with the existing uses. As I had mentioned, this area doesn't contain any commercial uses. It's limited to single family, multifamily, and office uses. And compared to a commercial business, multifamily, single family, and office generally have less traffic, less activity and noise, and less activity and noise in the evening. The other issue that this proposal does bring up is this could be considered spot zoning, which is essentially a zoning district that is not contiguous with the same district on any other parcels. You really don't want to use zoning to accommodate one specific property owner. You know, everybody's supposed to be treated the same. So that's a concern I have. However, there could be some benefits to rezoning this property to the proposal. One is it's been vacant for a number of years, and the Planning Commission has considered several possibilities on that site without success. And that could benefit the neighborhood to have a viable business at this location. The other positive about this proposal is the applicant is really restricting the proposed uses here. The only thing it could be with this proposal is a convenience store with liquor sales and fuel pumps. That's it. Nothing else in the commercial realm at all. We did ask, and they mentioned this too, that we did suggest that they think about limiting the hours of operation, primarily because you have single family residential right behind this parcel. And a 24-hour operation would have a lot of intrusion with lighting and noise, and people would be outside fueling and all that type of thing. So then the other suggestion I also made for the applicant to consider is possibly minimizing the number of fuel stations. Regarding the master plan, as far as the proposal is concerned, it describes the intent of the office category as providing for low intensity and higher intensity office uses and locating these uses on main thoroughfares. So this parcel is consistent with that. And office is used to protect nearby residential areas from activity and noise and that type of thing. The master plan calls for this property to be office, and the surrounding uses in the master plan are called for multifamily and single family residential, so consistent with the existing land use. Same, Walled Lake says the same thing in their master plan. It's consistent with the existing land use. So the master plan currently does not support this proposal. However, as I had mentioned, you all may be aware of changes that have happened within this vicinity that might make a commercial use more viable and justified. So I don't happen to know of anything, but you all very well might, and you should talk about that. The other concern I did have was traffic impacts. 4 pumps would generate a lot of vehicles coming in and out of that site. And because it's on a curve, I think we would need to have the site distances studied. And I would suggest by the village engineer to confirm that a lot of vehicles entering and exiting out of this site is not going to cause traffic problems. So those are my comments. I really didn't come down with a strong recommendation one way or the other. But I do have to just encourage you all to think about any changes or modifications to this area, to kind of think about how maybe the office master plan designation either is still viable and still appropriate there, or if that office designation in the master plan, could be modified because of changes.
Okay. Thank you, Sally. Well, so the first step is to get the public's opinion, basically, and discussed it amongst the board. So would we schedule a public hearing to get that input first?
Yeah, you could schedule a public hearing. You certainly can discuss the project this evening and talk about any of my comments or suggestions. And certainly the applicant has related some of their opinions about what I said in my review. So you can discuss all that this evening, but that would be the first step as far as moving this project forward, is to have a public hearing. Now, all the neighbors in the area will be notified with a letter. Anybody within 300 feet of the site will be notified with a letter. So Tabitha might also want to weigh in on when all that work could be done. She also has to put it in a newspaper, and the newspapers often have, you have to get it in a week or 2 weeks before the publication. Publication has to be at least 15 days before the meeting. So sometimes that backs things up a little bit.
Agreed. Okay, well, for the members of the board, basically, even though it doesn't fit our master plan exactly, I can't think of any other place that you could open a business like that in our village. It's sandwiched between the apartments and the dental offices. There's just, I think, 1 or 2 houses that would butt up against the back end of the property that, may have some problems with noise and stuff like that. But, if the hours were limited, to, other businesses in the area close at 10 or 11 at night, it may be doable. But it's really hard to tell until we have the public, announcement and have people, if they're going to have big objections or not, how to work through it. But that's my opinion. Anybody else on the board have any comments?
Hey,
Sally?
Tom, before you go into everybody's opinion, can I ask Sally a couple questions?
Oh, sure.
So Sally, the first thing you said was about rezoning, and then you said about the conditional rezone or conditional land use. And are those, do you have to get both of those for this to work, or is it one or the other? I was confused.
You have to get both of them to work. And I'm sorry, I used the term conditional land use. Some communities call special land uses conditional land uses. So sometimes I interchange them, and you guys call them special land uses. So the fueling pumps are a special land use, and they have to get approval from you for the special land use. To do all these businesses, they first have to rezone the property through this conditional process.
Which rezones it to C1?
It would be rezoned to C1, but it would be designated as a conditional rezoning. So that means that the uses are permitted in C1, but the conditional rezoning limits them to whatever conditions the applicant offered. And in this case, it would be the convenience store, liquor sales, and the fuel pumps.
Okay, now I understand that. The other question I had was, is there a, he was talking about putting in another, right now there's the top that I think was for the bank, when there was a bank there. And he was talking about putting in a different top. Is there are they too close to the road for that? I mean, what do they call that? The setback?
We'd have to see. Yeah, we'd have to see. I would assume that the awning structure is going to be a structure, and if it's attached to the main building, it is going to have to meet the front setback. So that's a good point, Scott. If we'd have to look at the zoning ordinance. The front setback is going to be pretty big, and I would guess that this property may need a variance for that.
Wow.
Has there been any? I know
Now
that.
you know why it's not been developed.
Well, my last thing was to respond to Tom about, I think the only worries that anybody's going to have, and I, just off the top of my head, is a gas station, and the amount of traffic that would go through there. I think the less pumps you have, the more traffic you have because they're waiting. So I don't know if that works or what, but also wouldn't there be a lot of construction that I'm sure that the underground is not suitable currently, because it's been who knows how many years since it was a gas station. I don't think those things last that long. So they would have to re-put in those big underground tanks, right? So I mean,
yeah.
I mean, it's just a point I'm making. I'm not saying one way or the other, but
no, that would all have to be
of
redone to code and everything, and that's a different deal altogether. But yeah, that would definitely have to be redone. But I don't think they would obstruct.
Are they within the setback for that? So
well, we'd have to figure that out, but it wouldn't obstruct traffic to put those new tanks in. They should be able to do that on the property itself without hindering the flow of the traffic.
Hope so. Yeah.
So just so I'm clear, was there a gas station on that property at one point in time?
Yes.
I recall that also.
I know that was a bank.
20 years ago, or?
That was longer than
more
20
than
years
that.
ago.
Probably 30.
Probably over 30. I've been here 28 years, and it was previous. I want to say it was probably the 60s or 50s, 60s, 70s, somewhere in there.
Yep.
I do recall that there was a gas station there at some point in the past.
They had gas back then?
Let it.
But unless there's
Yeah.
any, all right, Scott, you got any more questions for Sally?
I've got one for Sally.
Okie doke.
You mentioned that the across the street borders Walled Lake, does it not? And they have comparable zoning to what we do. Just it seemed like good manners for us to somehow include them in our thinking when we do this. I have a tendency, I'd like to know why it was zoned the way that it is to begin with. I'm also on the water board, so I'm going to be cautious about anything like fuel being it's part of the watershed. I know everybody will be very careful, but accidents happen. So is this something we need to consult with Walled Lake, or would it be a wise thing to do to consult with them?
It definitely would. I think it would be the polite thing to do for sure. They will receive a notice. But if you, for the public hearing, but I certainly also could talk to the village manager and mention it to him and see if he would like me to call the planner over in Wall Lake just to let them know what's happening. And if they have any comments or any suggestions or anything like that.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well,
All right. And go ahead, Brian.
Personally, I think it's kind of a neat concept for that property. Like Sally mentioned in her review there, you know, we've been looking at trying to figure out how to make something work there, and we've had some applicants come in, but you know, I guess if the public hearing occurs and there's not a whole lot of backlash on it, I mean, that might be a good avenue to, it does offer itself to a little bit because Decker ends right there and people are moving in and out of the village that way. So, you know, it might be a possibility. I'm saying it might be a good fit, so.
Yeah, agreed, Brian. And across the street is 3 businesses and another entire apartment complex. So, I mean, I would think that those people would love to have a little mini mart there and a place to get gas. You know, I mean, we love being near the party store on Glengarry, and you can whip up there and get a gallon of milk or whatever. It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I gotta say, I agree about the party store. The gas is the one that I wonder about, whether that's gonna fly. Those guys didn't even want, you know, that auto sales place there, you know, so
Well,
I think we're gonna get some pushback, but
I think a used
hopefully
car
we
lot.
can work something out with these guys. We need that thing to be productive, you know, it's been an eyesore for so long.
Well,
Yeah,
as far as a fueling station, I know there's standards that, you know, the state that they have to set. So, you know, if it's not compliant with the state, they were not going to be allowed to move. They wouldn't be allowed to move forward. I mean, there's all kinds of, you know, storage issues, tank issues that they have to deal with as far as Eagle and be compliant
Yes.
that way. So I don't think that, you know, like we're going to have to worry about a major
No, we don't have to worry about that at
or
all.
gas bill.
Yeah,
But,
and you know, the used car lot, I don't think was a good fit there because you got a whole bunch of cars parked on the lot all the time. Now that's an eyesore, but the cars are quiet now and a lot of them are electric. It's not like you're going to have a huge engine noise pulling in there. I mean, people pull in, fill up their car and leave. It's not really going to be that loud. I can't imagine the noise is going to be any louder than the traffic going by the corner, you
Well, they
know?
shouldn't be pulling in their electric cars to fill up.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're
We
right,
are,
yeah, good
we,
point.
we-
But I mean, you know what I mean? The cars aren't, unless you got like a hot rod or something. I mean, it's not going to be louder than the road noise that's normally there. And people are used to being by that road. They have their windows shut on that side, you know, and all that stuff, you know?
My only concern would be traffic. Because I don't think if you're coming eastbound on Commerce, is there a left turn lane there?
Yes,
Is there?
yes. On the Decker, you mean?
No. So if you're
No,
coming
eastbound.
eastbound
Oh,
and you're coming, let's see, up this way, right, to come north on Commerce, is there a left-hand turn lane right in this
yeah,
area?
good question. I don't.
There is, I don't believe there is. There's kind of a right turn onto Decker.
Yes,
Because if there's not, it's
There is.
because there is.
There is, but it's not a left turn lane,
it's a
you know,
middle
but
lane.
just before that, to turn into the office, there's left.
Ah, so that's
Let me
okay
be
then.
Sure, I mean, I pull out of there a lot. That's my dentist.
Well, the only reason I ask is because if there's not, there's truly only one smooth way to get into this corner, and that'd be coming from the north going south. And
Yeah.
turning right into there.
Okay, well, there's already one existing for the dental office. That's really good.
Yeah, I want to drive by there and look.
Well, I'm gonna look on Google Maps right now.
Awesome.
You're such a techie.
I was just gonna go the old school and get on the horse.
Well, I did hear a suggestion. Am I muted? No. I did hear a suggestion that light could be changed to a 4-way light instead of 3-way, you know, where one of the lights would be right into the site. I think they do the same thing in Wixom. where they have a straight road, one coming in and a gas station on the other side that basically has an entrance at the light. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how big of a deal that is, but
It does look like there is a left turn lane or a middle double
Would
yellow
you-
line.
I can share my screen if you want me to.
Okay.
Please.
Is that, who's our host?
Jacob.
Jacob, can I share?
Yep, you should be able to.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so here's the site, here's the building,
yeah,
and
there's
there is a
Oh,
middle
yeah.
lane. But I think that is for people going this direction. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if it's a middle lane, you can do either, at least in this
It's
part.
either, actually, it's either. Yeah, that's correct,
In
Sally.
this part,
It
so
is-
you
can
could
see all
turn
three lanes
there.
there, right,
Oh,
left, and middle.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
But it would be tricky if you were to come up to this
Yeah,
access.
well, yeah,
That would be blocked, possibly
Yeah.
by 2 lanes of traffic.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
you,
think that's on the property. You're gone too
yeah, you
far.
wouldn't drive past it and then try and turn in unless you.
This-
That's the entrance? That's
This
the
is a
entrance?
second entrance. There
Yeah.
are 2 entrances.
Yep,
Yep.
two
Oh, so
approaches.
they do have kind of a big chunk there.
There'll be
Bigger than
light
what I
jumpers
saw.
there.
Huh.
Say that again?
There'll be people traveling south trying to jump that light by going through their parking lot.
Oh, they better not.
I think
Nah, the light's not that long.
people try that already.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they do it now.
I'm gonna say there's no
Okay.
difference.
Well, I mean, if there's an operating business there, they'd be less likely to. I would hope.
Especially if you had gas pumps there too. I mean,
Yeah.
For sure.
right now it's
Agreed.
open. So,
Yeah, agreed. Okay, well,
We get discount on gas if we approve this.
well, I think we have to set up for a public hearing, correct?
That's the
Correct.
Yeah,
first
we can't
step.
prove it today.
okay, so I would hear a motion to schedule a public hearing at first possible convenience.
And that would be both for the conditional rezoning and the special land use.
That would be my suggestion, so
Yeah.
that they didn't have to come back for another public hearing.
I agree.
Okay, yes, thank you, Brian.
So I guess that was probably a motion by me then.
Well, do
Okay,
we
so,
think we can get it by March?
well, it's gonna,
Mr. Chairman, if I could say that your next meeting would be scheduled for March 25th, and that would be the appropriate time to schedule a public hearing.
okay,
would
thank you
We
very
have time
much.
for that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to set a public hearing for the conditional rezoning. Two
And
C1,
the special land use.
Special land
request.
use.
yeah, 2C1 from 01 and the special land use for March 25th, 2021.
And that would be for 2355 South Commerce.
Correct. So, motion by Nedro. Do I have a second?
Do we need to list out the special uses?
We'll
Not
do
in the
that
mo-
in the notice.
Do that.
Yeah,
We'll do
not
that,
the
yeah.
motion.
Okay, then I'll second.
Alrighty,
Frederick.
got a second by Fredericks. Roll call vote, please.
Horn,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Nedro,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Discussion?
And Lindman's on now too. I joined late, sorry.
Okay, no problem, Brian. Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
Can I just suggest to the applicant, if they are interested in doing any of the additional conditions that I put in my review, if you could please, just write a letter to the planning commission with those specific conditions. And then I don't know if your site plan needs a change, because if you're showing 4 pumps and you're, agreeable to reducing the number of pumps, you'd probably want to modify your site plan too, to show the lower number of pumps. Since that's the special land use part, we want to be prepared for the March 25th meeting.
Okay,
And also, I guess also I might suggest that you make sure that the canopy would make setback requirements too. So in case you would have to have a zoning request, a variance on possibly that structure, just to make sure it meets it.
Can I add a couple comments to the end of this, if possible?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just heard for the March 25th, we're going from C1 to O1. Actually, we're going O1 to C1.
Right.
To clarify that, I just heard the opposite. We do agree with reducing the pumps. We will submit new plans. We will reduce the hours as specified. Also, just wanted to clarify a couple of things. This existing canopy showing, it's gonna be removed. We are showing a canopy 90 degrees, almost in line with the road, and it's set back 20 feet at least from the property. So we're not leaving this canopy that close to the road. We're taking the existing fuel canopy out. Also, we do understand the lighting, and we don't want to encourage anybody and the neighbors. We have submitted a photometric plan, and it shows that our canopy will not even encourage on any property. We will have zero lighting at the properties. We do that all the time. Also, we have proposed on our landscaping plan between us and the west side, the other businesses, some sort of pine trees that look like soldiers, so we can reduce the visibility for that. And of course, we got the building and we put trees behind also. On the other hand, and we had some kind of questions about the treatment of the rainwater. Of course, we have to have all treatments, that's code. And also, of course, as you mentioned, the underground tanks, they have to go through state regulation. And of course, they're double fiberglass. It's impossible for those to leak anywhere. Of course, they have to get a permit, as you know, from the state. I just, because I put some notes here on the side, I'm just trying to see if and of course, now, as far as changing the drawings, would you like us to resubmit, email drawings with the 3 pumps and hours? Or you like us just to put a note or comments and submit it?
Well, I had a quick question about that. Is there any science or factual data that supports reducing the pumps are going to reduce the traffic? I mean, you're proposing 4 pumps right now, right? I don't think that's too many.
Yeah, I don't think
Well,
it's going to change much.
Yeah. I mean, in my personal opinion, I don't think we should reduce the pumps. And if you were going to reduce the pumps, I don't think you should have to resubmit the entire blueprints all over again just to subtract 2 pumps.
So Tom, one thing
Yes.
I'd like to say is I wouldn't tell them to resubmit anything until we know for sure whether we're going to be able to approve this or not. Because
Well-
I mean, a condition, the rezoning itself has to go through the council.
Correct.
Isn't that true?
but you're also doing the special land use. So the
Right.
Well, I
public hearing
understand,
is
but if
for
we-
both.
I understand, but if we let them resubmit a whole thing, am I muted?
No?
No,
No.
okay. Okay. If we make them resubmit the whole thing, maybe some special land, like you said, an email with what special land uses they would be willing to do. Go ahead.
We have to follow the ordinance. The ordinance has specific requirements for a site plan, and that's what they have to do. So.
Okay.
Well, I
it's-
understand that they will have to do that. I'm saying, don't make them do it now and then find out council won't rezone it, so they can't do it anyway, and they've done all this work.
Well, the whole point of having one public hearing is to take care of 2 issues. So the other way we could do it is just have a public hearing for the rezoning, let that go through, and then they'd have to come back for the special land use and have a second public hearing for the special land use.
So
Sorry,
you're saying
we're
for the
gonna do a
special land
special-
use, they would need
Yes.
that entire package for us to have that that meeting, whatever you call it, the
Yes.
public hearing.
Yes.
we-
And
Okay.
it's
So
not
what I
that
said,
big a deal.
never mind.
It's not that big a deal. I bet you this engineer could do it in his sleep. He's done
Yeah.
so many.
Actually,
Well, just
Sorry
one
about
more quick, go ahead.
actually, we can do it from here to the kitchen.
There you go.
Yeah. But, Scott, I'm with you. I think reducing the pumps down from 4 to 2 pumps might cause more congestion.
4 to 3.
I don't know for a fact. I just put that out there.
Oh,
That's why I'm saying, I don't know if there's any data on that, but I don't think that reducing the pumps is gonna help things. I think that would make things worse personally.
I don't
Well,
think it's
then
gonna
you know
affect-
what I would suggest? That the applicant come up with a way to ensure that this business is consistent with a single-family residential neighborhood. This is, this street is not like a 4-lane big road where you find a lot of fueling stations. It's more of a smaller, quieter street, although I know it does get a lot of traffic. But it's just a different character, and 4 pumps with 8 stations, could generate a lot of traffic. So the other thing I could do is, we do have, or the applicant could, come up with other ideas, or come up with traffic information about the number of trips generated by the number of pumps. And that would show us if reducing the number of pumps actually does have an influence. The third idea is that village engineer will be looking at these plans as far as the special land use. And he could also have some suggestions regarding traffic.
I do have something to bring up. Are we concerned? So there, as far as mortgage lending, you guys all know that's what I do. FHA will not allow a house to be sold if it's within 300 feet of a gas station. Are we concerned about limiting new residents' capabilities of the area by putting this gas station in?
Wouldn't that be grandfathered in since the property hasn't changed or anything?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So that would be a mortgage just through FHA?
Yeah, conventional is okay, but FHA, VA, and USDA would not allow it.
And is it 300 feet from the building?
Property line.
Or property line? So the abutting parcels then would not be able to get FHA financing?
That is correct.
Both of
something to
them are
consider.
apartments, aren't they? Or
Well,
is that a
there's
house
houses.
next to it?
What about the houses behind it, right?
There's like 2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
see apartments next to it on one side, and it looks like an office next to it on the other side.
across the
There is-
street, are those condos or apartments?
Those are apartments.
The one
But if
like
you-
on Silverbrook?
Yeah, Scott, if you look at your map with the color parcels showing the multifamily, single family, all that, you'll see there's 2 or 3 houses in yellow or whatever that are bumped right up against. But that's a good point, Brandon, and we'll definitely, take that into consideration.
Well,
Brendan, the one parcel that would be the northwest. The corner,
2370.
the corner of that lot touches the corner of this property.
So that
So
would be
maybe,
no-go.
yeah, maybe it'd be the first two lots.
It's probably gonna be
Is
the
it-
first 2. Well, you gotta think 300 feet, roughly 100 yards. Right? So, I mean, if we brought a tape out there, I wouldn't be surprised if on the other side, the west side of Ethel, some of these houses also are in that area too.
Right, yeah, I agree. They're probably gonna be 3 or 4 houses, but
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they can't get financing. They
No,
just
that's
can't
right. That's exactly
get a
right.
certain type of financing. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, FHA is one of the largest type of financings. And sometimes people rely on that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention because we could be alienating 5 or 6 houses here from getting future residents.
Roger that.
Looks to me like the ones that would be alienated are already bumping up against office. I don't know if that matters, but
Office doesn't matter. It's only gas stations.
or apartment. Oh, just gas stations, right? Well, yeah, I was kind of concerned about the gas station there myself. For that, and I don't know why. It just like these guys say, it's not going to leak. But you just think of
Well,
that's a great tourist spot.
Exxon Valdez said it wasn't going to leak too. Titanic wasn't supposed to sink either, right? I mean, things can happen.
Right, but I
I
mean,
agree.
it used to be a lot worse. They used to just
Sure.
leak constantly, and
Oh,
now
yeah.
the state makes you go through everything to get that stuff safe. So
No, I-
we don't have to worry about that part of it.
I'm sharing my screen. This is,
Wow.
see if I can get in a little closer.
So that goes further back than I thought. So these townhomes that are across the street from Commerce, right where your mouse is pretty much, a little bit left,
Right
are
here.
those condos or apartments?
I thought they were
They're
apartments,
They are apartments.
and I think this is an apartment building.
Yes,
This is an office building,
yes.
but that 300 feet. Let's see if
property
I
line.
can. Yeah, so let's measure it clear. Measure. So that's 315. So it would affect this property. That doesn't look like there's a house there. Yes, there is a house. So 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5, 6, maybe seven houses.
8 houses, isn't that one in front of the arrow of their house?
What
Left.
about in Walled Lake?
That's yeah. Well, there's no houses across Decker, right? That's what I was.
Well, I don't know.
No,
No,
there
I
isn't.
don't believe there is. This
There's
is
no-
an office complex right here.
Yeah, there's no houses.
That's my dentist.
These, I think this is also some kind of,
The only thing I'd be worried about
Those
is
are
the ones
apartments,
that are.
Sally.
those are apartments?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
But the northeast corner of Decker, those are condos. That's
So-
Right
condos.
here?
Those are condos.
So those would be impacted too.
Those are condominiums. Yes, ma'am.
Well, how often do people get FHA loans?
I have one.
There you have it. I would say probably 50% of home buyers go look at FHA.
And those condos are in Walled Lake, aren't they?
Mhm.
But I don't think that, does that matter? That wouldn't matter.
It's 300 feet from property line in a radius.
I think that's a good point, and I'm glad you brought it up, but I don't think that's an end all to the situation. So we should definitely keep it under consideration and let the public, speak their piece.
I think it's something to just note. Agreed. I mean, there's still conventional loans. There's still other loans you can get, and that's fine. I just wanted to make that point.
No, thank you, and thanks for your knowledge, because we didn't know that.
But I do.
Awesome.
And it sucks when you write a loan and somebody's house is 300 feet from a gas station.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I would want to know if the applicants, it's a no-go if we don't let them put a gas station there, but they can do other uses like the party
Convenience
store.
and
or
liquors.
anything. Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought a drive-through ATM would be nice.
A donut coffee shop.
I thought about
Well, I thought the party store was a great idea. I just worried about the gas station, and I guess this guy just confirmed why I worry, because FHA probably is worrying for the same reason. Science.
It is more difficult to put in a gas station all the way around, and the applicants are willing to jump through these hoops and ladders. So, I admire them for trying to do it, and let's see what happens. If they
Sure.
can't do it, they can't do it,
Right, right.
I just want to clarify one item. This is via the engineer. We have no problem doing 3 pumps. If that will probably ease up the site. We have no problem with that.
Just no diesel.
Yeah. Okay, motion carried on that. Any other discussion before we move on to master plan update, item A on 11?
Didn't we do that?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Master plan.
Yes, thank you,
I was
guys.
looking at 9. Okay, sorry.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Okey doke, that brings us to item 11, old table business, master plan update. Are we gonna hear a motion to take that off or untable it?
Sure. That's me, Nedro.
Do we need a motion to do that? Because this is good. I mean, gotta do a
Yeah.
roll call for a motion. I think you just take it off the table. We've talked about
No,
that before.
unfortunately, yeah, you do need a motion.
Yep. Okay, so we got a motion by Nedro. How about a second?
I'll second. Frederick.
Second by Fredericks. Roll call vote, please.
Clark,
Yeah.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Nedra,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Thorne.
Yes.
Okey doke. So you should have, there's a sheet from Sally talking about the master plan update. And Sally, if you would like to take the floor, you could be my guest.
Well, I don't really have anything to add. We talked about this and I believe in September, and I hate to ask for this again, but you guys were gonna review the document and let me know, send me comments and changes to the background studies. Brian did give me some information at the meeting, but then I do have to admit, I thought said he was gonna send it to me.
I do recall that now. We
So
did have
I
some
don't-
homework. Yeah.
Well, I don't believe I took notes, Brian, so I'm equally, I'm
I'm
equally
gonna have to
not
dig
doing.
deep. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to dig deep somewhere and find it. September was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. And, master planning is really tough in COVID because, we certainly could do a survey and that type of thing, but the public input part really is not easy.
Yeah.
So, but we can get the background studies done, and if you guys could, since we're meeting in March, that only gives you a couple weeks to think about it and to get her done. And
I know the one thing that we did talk about was up on Glengarry rezoning, possibly looking in the master plan to rezone a lot of the properties up at, say, the Glengarry, and there was a couple other additional lots or that houses that were zoned office 01. So I do know that that was one of the things that was a different take this go around, is we wanted to make that more consistent on the master plan with what it is currently and has been for a while in the village. So,
yeah, we definitely want to look at the future land use map.
right.
Absolutely. So,
Aside
but
from that, what about the census?
the census, yeah, and the census still is not finished.
Okay.
Because of COVID, they do a lot of, it's amazing how much work people do door to door. Because a lot of folks don't fill out the form, they don't go online and do it. And they do a lot of work door to door, and they just haven't finished it yet.
Well, let me ask you, Sally, because, the Glengarry's been trying to work through the whole COVID deal, trying to stay alive. If we have some discussion during our master plan comments, like what we're talking about here, if they were to look at rezoning that, going through the rezoning process, before we finalize the master plan, would that be inconsistent with what we're looking at doing?
Well, the only thing I see as a possible impediment to that is that property is on the boundary. And the Planning Enabling Act requires the village to give neighbors, since this is an update, give them 42 days. If it were a complete rewrite, we'd do 63 days, but Commerce Township has 42 days to comment. And then you have a public hearing. And I really don't think it would be appropriate to do a rezoning and get that through before the master plan is, at least you have the public hearing. You
Right.
might not have to adopt it, but you at least need to have the public hearing.
So that would mean we'd
Now-
have to finalize the public here, or actually finalize the master plan before we went out for the public hearing.
Yeah, you really kind of do.
Yeah.
But this doesn't have to be that huge of an effort. And if you can just get me your comments on the background studies, we can go on to the next steps.
Okay.
just confirm that the goals and policies are still consistent. We can update the future land use map and call it a day. You know,
Well, we
it's
plan
not
on
like
trying to get that put together for next month then, if we could.
that would be,
And then we-
well, if you can give me the background studies information, I can put together a survey for your review
Okay,
to, you know, ask residents their opinions.
okay.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sally, you said something that confused me a minute ago. You said we have to get the master plan either, you know, to some point, whatever, before we rezone something. What were you talking about? Not the corner lot. We were talking about Glengarry?
Glengarry Inn, they've been having a lot of trouble because their zoning is inconsistent with their use. And so they cannot expand their use. So we were talking to them about updating the master plan and then rezoning their property appropriately for the use so that they could, you know, do new things like expand their outdoor dining and, you know, all that other stuff that they wanted to do.
Okay, I understand. I was just lost. Now I get it. You don't have to go any further. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys. We would like to hear a motion to retable the master plan update.
Let's retable the master plan update.
Sounds like
That
a
was-
good idea.
Okay, and that was motion by
Paul
Thorne.
Snyder.
Oh,
No,
Snyder,
Paul
I'm
Snyder.
sorry.
Yep.
Okay, sorry.
What
Paul.
happens if we
Okay.
don't table it? Then we don't have to untable it next time.
It doesn't take
Showing
that
my
long,
laziness.
Scott. Don't worry. I need a second.
That was me.
I just don't know why we're tabling it. Usually you table stuff if you're not going to talk about it for a while, but I think we're going to talk about it every meeting.
But Scott, we could have already tabled it by now.
I know.
Mr.
Okay,
Clark
we got a-
seconded.
All right, second by Nedro. Roll
No,
call
it's
vote,
Clark.
please. Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Clark seconded that.
Okay, second by Clark. James, thank you.
Let's vote
Brian?
quick.
Yeah. All right, roll call vote, please.
Fredericks,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
Nedro,
Yes,
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Linman, yes.
Okay,
Poor
discussion,
Brian.
motion carries. Thank you. All right, that brings us to liaison reports. Council, Mr. Nedro.
oh, nothing's happened since last September.
Okay.
No, actually, we have a new administrator, right? So Dave's been there since just shortly after, and we have a new council. So Bill O'Brien's on, along with Mr. McNutt and Mr. Giamini. So Malik, Duff, Dumont, and myself are still on, so that's your council. We had a new treasurer, and actually we hired her, and she was gonna actually start a week and a half ago, last week, last week. And she actually lived in the village. Her parents owned Woody's on the trail down there, and she actually started her career at Wolverine Lake before she went to Walled Lake, to Holly, and at Grosse Point, and she ended up passing away Valentine's Day. So,
Oh, no.
Wow.
yep. So we're in the search for a
Yeah.
treasurer again. Kathy Behrens was her name. She was really looking forward to coming back to the village. So it was a sad deal, and her funeral's tomorrow up at Lynch and Sons in Walled Lake here. So.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we're moving forward, looking for a new treasurer again. We just had our goal setting session last night. In fact, we're in the process of DPW negotiations. And we're gonna be moving forward with police negotiations here before the next couple months or so. It's budget season. We're putting our budget together, so I'm sure the planning commission is going to be, Tom, if you haven't got anything yet from Mr. Condick, we're going to be looking for that.
Okay,
And I guess with that, Dave Gillum, our new administrator, seems like he's doing a great job. He's getting really zoned in here, so getting comfortable. And he's also a resident of the village too. He lives over in Tampa, so.
okay.
Hopefully things get a little bit better this year. Last year was a son of a gun for everybody. I know that. And we thought really looking forward to 2021, and it's been a little difficult so far. So with that, and obviously everybody heard about the drowning on the lake, the snowmobile, a couple of weeks ago back. Yeah, a guy went through the ice on a snowmobile down towards Benstein. So it's been a little rough year for the village here so far, 2021. So we'll hopefully things pick up and get better.
All right, thank you, Brian, for the information. How about Parks and Rec?
Well, there's a lot of hoping. They're trying to put together a lot of things, but they don't know what they can do with the COVID situation, like the Eastern market.
Activities, a lot of the activities last year, they had a heck of a time trying to put some of those together.
They're still having a hard time coming up with what they can do. Like an Easter handout, they can't actually hand something out, so it has to. Everything's up in the air, basically.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about their building in Clara Miller there. They seem to be pleased with that.
Right.
I have a question though. Am I actually part of their?
Yes, actually, you're liaison to Parks and Rec, so you're an actual part of
Voting member.
An actual member there too. Okay.
Yep.
Yes, you get paid for both.
Really, that's about it. We just sit there and come up with some ways around the COVID thing, and everything is on hold up to and including like the fishing tournament. And I think the only thing they came up with was a garage sale, which baffles me how they can do that in COVID times, but that's about the only thing they came up with. The date for the fishing tournament would be the 14th if they actually do it, of August.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jim.
I had something for Park and Rec I wanted to say. Some people have asked me if we're ever going to get the bus trips back to the Red Wings again, and I was the one that was always doing that. Maybe Jim would take that over and actually do that. Not this year, of course, but
They'll still talk about it. They just can't do it.
Right. Well, I just meant next year. Nobody ever brings it up, and maybe you will, or maybe you'll. I don't know if you're a Red Wings fan, but and worst case scenario, I can. Yeah, not anymore, right? Yeah, I could even not chair it, but whatever they call it when you have somebody outside the group run the bus.
Berkovich has brought it up a lot, like a lot of the bus trips she's been talking about, and again, she's like, let me put a pin on it because I don't know if we can do it, but we'll see where we're at.
Yeah, but they had stopped the Red Wings for a couple of years. I don't know if you wanted to go back.
That's true. It wasn't Red Wings.
Yeah. Okay. That was it.
Thank you very much, Jim.
Certainly.
How about ZBA?
Kathy's not here.
Oh,
sorry.
Geez, yeah. Okay, that brings us to water management.
Okay, we've been busy. We did, through the council changeover, we have now Mr. Bob Malik as replacing John Scott, no longer is a council member. He's been working with us for a few months now. Works good. We're working on our budget, Brian. So that's coming along all right. We are taking a look at a boat wash over by the launch. We may have some grant money for that. We're thinking of trying to get people, maybe even having a session or two, so people start washing their boats down a little better. Trying to keep the invasives away. So if there's grant money, we figured what's to lose if we can schedule a couple of those.
That was actually on the goal setting session here a couple of years ago, and there wasn't any money available. We did look into it, so that's why we didn't move forward with it. Good.
Yeah, we're
Great,
trying to, we think there might be some grants, so we're
super.
after money. We are also working with Paul Hauser, Progressive, on the muck issue. He went around and took readings in the canal area. And, where they put the stick in the water to figure out how, and there's some muck in there that's from 3 to 14, the stuff will hit the muck at 3 feet and it'll go 11 more feet down.
I live on the canal.
There's a little bit of muck over there.
A little bit.
So there's 2 different things that we're looking at. Well, there's a lot of things that we're looking at. We found out that we don't need to have the water tested if we go with what's called a hydraulic dredge. It's not a very, all the processes are messy. But what that does, instead of having a machine come through and stir up the bottom, it sucks the stuff out, and you got to put it up into these bags that let it dry out, but you still got to haul it away. It's still toxic waste. So we're looking at that. But one of the things that might keep it down a little bit is looking at what's called phoslock, which starves the algae. It'll help clear up any algae blooms. We use something called a Seekler treatment. But what it does is stop the phosphorus from feeding the algae, so the algae blooms won't happen. So we're looking at that. Another thank you to the board. We got approved for a remote transponder system, which will allow the village and other people to get a reading on their phone were the lake to either suddenly increase or decrease its water. I think it was in 2018 when we had, how shall I phrase it, an unauthorized release of lake water, and it wasn't caught until we lost several inches. Personal note on that was I was in the water waist deep trying to shove my boat off my hoist while the people were waiting at the launch to haul it away. So that was an interesting thing for me, but this will let us know if there's any sudden increases or decreases in the water depth. We are going to have Chief Ellsworth at our next meeting to talk a little bit about what or if there's anything we can do to help promote safety on the lake. It was certainly a tragedy. On that particular day when the young man went through the ice, there must have been 40 vehicles on the lake between motorcycles and mini bikes and 4-wheelers. And actually, those probably outnumbered the snowmobiles. But there's always a risk if you attempt to do something like Mark, where you think the water is going to get thin, because the implication then is that the rest of the lake is safe, and you can never really say that. And from what we've heard this year, for what I've heard, it's been an awfully strange year on the lake, as far as it, staying mushy and not really getting a hard surface for the, there's still people out there, but it's been a kind of a bad year for the lake. I guess the last thing that I wanted to add is that we are moving forward. We got permission to pursue a sewer SAD. I'll be working with Tabitha and Dave. Tabitha's going to work with me on how to get that word out, so that we can encourage people that are eligible to sign up for sewer hookups instead and abandon their septic fields. The SAD certainly helps people when they attempt to finance that sort of thing. I had a neighbor that had a home improvement that was more than 100 square feet, and so they had to foot that bill themselves, and by themselves it was north of $20,000 to do, and you don't get the grace of a 10-year finance plan through a SAD. So we're looking to probably start. We want to start it as early as possible. I don't know if it's possible to get the thing put through in a year's time, but you always see people making improvements on the lake. They're always making additions, and they're always, new homes. And there's, the conditions for having to hook up to the sewer system is you can't repair your septic system either. If you've got a major repair, you can't get permits for it either through the village or the county. You're required to hook up the sewer. So, and it's just better for overall for the health of the lake to have that stuff not hanging around in tanks. So, all right, I'll shut up. That's unless you got any questions for me, I'll quit talking.
No, that's great information. Thank you, Paul.
You're
Because
very welcome.
everybody wants to keep abreast on that stuff, you know?
You said people that are eligible.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Isn't
Well-
it anybody in the village or anybody that has a sewer in front of their house?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's two different people that are down Glengarry. I think it's some of South Commerce, some of Benstein, and the perimeter of the lake for the most part. The people that are riparians and the people that are across the street from them all have sewer lines that can be hooked up into. All the sewer lines didn't go deep into the village. So if you lived further in away from the water, but not right up to one of the main roads, you don't have a sewer line hooked up. To let people know who are eligible, I'll be working with Tabitha to, when we get online, we're going to try to have something on the website so people can look at a map to see if they're eligible. And we'll take it from there. We're going to try and segment it out, let them know what a SAD is, let them know what we think some of the costs might be and what the considerations are, whether or not they're eligible, and those types of things.
I'm on,
But like you said, the eligibility is if there's a sewer line in front of your house.
Yep, pretty much.
I'm on Newport Court, and I did this probably 9 years ago or something like that. It was a wonderful thing because I was having all kinds of septic problems.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Well, please talk it up. We got to have at least 30 people that are going to say they're going to do it before they even look at us.
You can
So
tell
I
me.
got to get signatures on, yeah.
Brandon,
I got to get signatures on petitions. So,
Let's get the word out there because it really won't take that long. It's not that long of a process. We've done a number of them in the village, so
yeah,
Okay,
the text thing was
just a matter of
incredible.
getting the people and then we have to work through the process. And
Let me
it's-
ask, is it hooked up to a grinder pump?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, who's in charge of the grinder pump if it fails?
Not me.
the county, actually, the water department is,
That's
not
what-
the
oh,
village
number.
water department.
Oakland
It's,
County, right?
Any
county,
hour they
I
come
thought
out.
it was you. I thought it was your own. It's on your property.
Nope,
Right. But part of what you pay for is the maintenance. Mine failed once and they were out here till 11 o'clock at night and got it fixed that same day. You know, it failed at like 6 o'clock in the evening, and within 5 hours they had a new pump in there and had it all fixed and good to go.
actually, they're a lot quicker. I've had four issues with mine since I was like one of the first ones hooked up in the village. And we had a fail on New Year's Eve one time. We had about 20 kids over,
oh my God.
like 10:30 at 11
Pretty sure
o'clock.
the
They were
other
out, they
Brian
had it
was the
fixed in
first one.
45 minutes. I mean, they respond within about an hour. So,
I think that's something important to let people know about that, because I've talked to a couple people and they're like, yeah, but then you got to take care of the grinder pump. And I'm like, and I always said, like, in my old neighborhood, we had one, and I was like, no, I think that's Oakland County. So if we could set that straight for people right off the bat, I think you probably get a lot more initial signatures right away.
well, all that stuff is in the public hearing that we have
Sure.
for the SADs. I mean,
And we'll
That's
try
a
to,
lot of money, even if you're paying it over 10 years.
yeah, but it's a lot,
A lot
it's
easier.
a lot less painful than if you have to pay it right up front. If your sewer
I
fails.
gotta agree with that.
For sure.
But they did it 1 year after I had to put an engineered field in. You know, so I don't know if I'll be doing it anytime soon.
Well, you can sign up for it. You don't have to hook up right away.
Oh, well, that's,
Yeah. Yeah, you can hang. There are people that have systems that are right outside, but they wanted to kind of ride out their existing septic system. So, but they're all set. They're all ready to go if it happens. So,
that's not a bad deal.
no.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul. That brings us
Pleasure.
to announcements. Any announcements? Okay, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
That would be me. Nedro does that.
Okay, motion by Nedro, second.
Thorn.
Frederick,
All righty, second by Thorne. Roll call vote, please.
Height,
Yes.
Nedra,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thorne,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
and Fredericks.
yes, goodbye.
All right, thanks for your time, everybody. Stay safe
Have a
out
good
there.
evening.
I'll dig
Night,
into it,
everybody.
Sally. I'll
Bye,
get you
Sally.
something.
Thank
All right.
you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.